All right, my friends, welcome back to the RPG Backlog. This is episode 4 of our Final Fantasy II arc of Final Fantasy II, the black sheep of the Final Fantasy family. I am here with Tom and Travis, and we're here to talk about the next chunk. We've got Mysidia, Tropical Island, which is what that tropical island is called, apparently, and Mysidian Cave, Leviathan, and Mysidian Tower, and then the Cyclone, which is all we did this time. The penultimate part of the game. Before we get into it, how are y'all doing?
Doing well enough. I played through the at least I don't get into the game, or if you wanted a more personal touch, but at least on this one, in the past, I have either played it all in a chunk very early or rushed it all in a chunk very late. I actually took this, I think I had 3 separate sessions, and I knocked out each one of these in turn. So it was very balanced and calm.
That is how I did it as well.
I usually just do it all in one chunk on Sundays.
And that's what you did this time during the Super Bowl, I think.
Yeah. My game was more entertaining than that game.
Silence from Tom.
I don't know what you guys want me to say. It wasn't fun. I didn't have a good time.
I had a fun time when I looked up at halftime. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, this is totally off topic.
We are. Kendrick Lamar is not in this game, but Mysidia. We are using the masks on some statues, and that's how this whole thing started. But why don't we just start what we usually do? Overall, what were your thoughts on this chunk?
I'll let Tom go.
I thought this was good. This was I still feel like I'm doing something wrong, because whenever you guys talk about how many hit points and like that stuff, like I am still lagging way behind that, but I still managed to kill pretty much everything the first time I try it. And like maybe I think the Mysidian Tower was kind of tall. Didn't have like 9 or 10 floors.
Really tall. Yeah, it just kept going and going.
By the end of that, like I was starting to get a little short on mana, and I didn't know how long it was going to go. And so I think on the whatever the second to last floor is, it's like, okay, I'm just going to like recoup. And so I burned all of Maria has the most MP in my group. I burned every last one of her points to like buff everybody's health. Then I gave her like the 1 elixir that I've been carrying around. Mm-hmm. And so she was back to full to full MP and HP, and everybody else had full HP. And then, oops, the dungeon was over. So that was kind of, but like that was the closest I came to getting in any sort of real kind of trouble. And so it's been fine. Every once in a while, I run into stuff where it's like, oh, you know, the attack class is kind of high, so I can't just like smash it with weapons. Like, okay, like we'll all do our spells for a couple of rounds, and then it's fine, sort of thing. So it's interesting. I don't know. So that was kind of the vibe check. Is it's still been pretty casual, easy, just sort of rolling through and not thinking too hard. Occasionally I've been picking up like spell tomes left and right, so I've added a couple other things to the repertoire, but nothing crazy. So yeah, chill.
How about you, Trav?
I mean, it's pretty much a walk in the park. I haven't had any challenges. I don't dislike it. I enjoy it for the most part. There's some things about this game that I wonder if it's what it would have been like in the original game, and if it's this way. So like a couple of things are like, the one thing that keeps blowing my mind is like, how the frick would you actually legitimately know where to go in the world map from one place to the next? Yeah. Because like if I didn't have a map, like they mentioned Mysidia to the east or to the west. I'm like, sweet. Yeah. Where, dude? Like how? Or they mentioned they mentioned the tropical island, but they don't really give you an idea. And that island is pretty freaking small and out in the middle of freaking nowhere, man. So I'm just like, how would you know exactly where to go without a map or a guide? Which I just kind of, I don't know, kind of goes against what I expect games from this era to be. They used to be not so reliant on external stuff to kind of guide you. They were relying on external stuff to give you the basic gist of it, but not. I don't know. That's my only qualm. And then, my other qualm with it that I've been having is specifically with the I think it was probably it was a tower. I think it was, or maybe it was one of the other one. Anyways, where there's like hidden walls that you can walk through.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. But the reason why my problem with that is not the fact that hidden walls and fighting, it's the fact that there's so many random battles that if I had been playing this back in the day, if I didn't have a thing to show me where those like hidden passages were, there's no effing way I would spend the time to try and find them because of how often you get attacked. It's just like, constantly you take 5 steps, random battle. Take 5 steps, random battle. It's not a random battle. It's literally a trigger based upon how far you travel every time, which is kind of... It's those little qualms about it that if that existed in the original game, I'm kind of like, dude, I can understand why people would get annoyed with this crap. More so than the leveling aspect is... And actually, I can come up with reasons why the leveling aspect is annoying too. But point being is there's just a lot of little things that are just naggy enough that I can see why people would be like, screw this game. If that makes sense.
Yeah, the random...
go ahead.
The random encounter rate is the thing that, I don't know if it drives me nuts, but I keep thinking back to, boy, if I was playing this on the NES, I would have fucking quit. Because it's like every 5 seconds. It's not random. It is so often. I turn it off. When I'm traveling around at this point.
That's what I've found, that it did get to the point that it was ruining and the dungeons are okay, right? Like there's structure to them and they seem to have like some effort was made on like sense of place and stuff like that. But what I was finding is it was like, I can go up this staircase or that staircase. Yeah. And I was trying to be really good about not turning them off. But at one point, I think, again, near the end of that Mysidian tower, like one staircase takes you into this room. And there's like 5 doorways going off of it.
Right. Yep.
And in the back of my head, I'm like, every single one of these is just a trap room, right?
Yep.
And I turned off the encounters and went into every single one. And every single one is it's like, okay, yeah, I didn't need to. And that's what I actually think really, this is maybe my only critique of the game, is that it does feel like that's how they tried to sprinkle difficulty in, is... There's an encounter, it does feel like about every 5 units of movement on the map. And so to do any kind of exploring is incredibly taxing on your time, if not necessarily your party. And I've gotten lost in dungeons because I forgot what direction I was going in between battles. And I kind of, so I try, when I know where I'm going and what I want to do, I leave it on. But every once in a while, it's like, I'm going to toggle this off and just run over here real quick and make sure that that's not where I'm supposed to go. Because otherwise it does get tedious, particularly when it's the same, 3 different variations of trash mobs that they're not hard anymore. So,
well, and that's why the like Mysidia or whatever else that's kind of hidden, and you really have to like figure out where it is and how can you find it. You're just roaming around hoping to stumble upon it. Like back in the day, God, I mean, it would extend the gameplay by like 5x, but you're taxing your resources and probably game overing, and I don't know how fun that is.
I thought that Mysidia was the hardest town to find in all of this so far, because I think all the other ones you had some vague suggestion of where you were supposed to go, or it was earlier in the game when if you were running into things that were just like steamrolling you're like, okay, clearly this is the wrong place, I shouldn't be here. There was more obvious things to kind of guide you, but with the map as open as it is now, that was one of these things. Was like, man, I felt I didn't look it up and I felt good when I stumbled across it, but it was also like sort of a Pyrrhic victory, right?
Yeah, right.
This goes back to what I said last time. The dungeons, the complex they add, now it's even getting more complex on how far you have to go before you hit the dead end. On a path before you have to travel back. And then it's like, okay, I understand if you're trying to make this more challenging, or maybe you're trying to draw the length of the game out, and this is an easy way to do it. but it's also, and maybe it's because I'm older, but to me, I'm like, this feels insulting to my intelligence to do it in this manner.
I've started with the dungeon map, like when you're in the dungeon and you press Y and you can see that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I roll in, I pull that up, and I like optimize my path where it's like, what is the quickest, shortest route that will take me to all of the chests and then to where the next stairs are? Because I don't get anything out of sort of wandering anymore.
This is the one thing that I think I do differently than the two of you is I literally have a bookmark on the maps for all the dungeons and the overworld. Because I'm just like, I'm not even effing around with this anymore. The difference is I have yet to turn off the random encounters. Like a weird part of me refuses to do it. And so because of that, I'm just like, but because they're so often, I'm sitting going, I am not going to waste my time trying to find it. I am literally going to know exactly where I need to go so that I don't have to waste more of my time going and hitting all these stupid encounters on wasting resources, because this is something I think I brought up in like the second, maybe it was the first or second one recaps of these, where there is no option to do a lower powered version of any of your spells. So because if you don't have a ton of MP, you're always doing the max level, so you're burning through your MP. And if you get to a certain point, it's like, okay, well, my spells are level 10. I have 8 MP. I'm SOL. I can't cast another spell, even though I have MP to burn and I should have the ability to cast a lower version. I can't, which I just find frustrating. But
yeah,
it sounds like I'm bitching, but sorry.
No, I think we both have this. We're both solving the same problem, which is that the annoyance with the high hit rate. I have not pulled up any maps of the dungeons because I'm using the walkthrough to just tell me where to go. So I want at least something that's that I don't have in front of me.
You mean map to the dungeon, not map of the inside of the dungeon?
No, map of the inside of the dungeon.
Yeah, map of the inside of the dungeon. Like
you're not using the one in the game.
No, I have another one that shows me all the layers of the dungeon right out the door.
Yeah, the walkthrough has a link to it. Yeah.
I can literally map out which path I'm going to take to where I know. I look and see like, okay, this stairwell leads to this stairwell, which leads to this stairwell, which is the dead end. But there's a chest on the third one, so I'm going to make my beeline straight for that chest and straight the freak back out, go to the right door, so that I don't go wandering around in there. So I literally look at it and see how the entire dungeon's laid out and map out which my path is going to be to hit every freaking... And how I find every hidden passageway. That's how I know where they are, is because it shows you on the map. Like, here's...
Those are pretty obvious, though. Like, they do... There's a tell, and it's basically, this room has no stairs in it, but there's a chest. Like, then you must be able to get through there, and you can't phase through. It's sort of a cute trick, right? Because of the... What do they call this? Like a 3/4 perspective or something? Because of that, you can't, like, when you're moving up and down, it would be weird for you to just, like, suddenly disappear through a wall. But when you're moving left and right, there's, like, the insinuation is that there's, like, an archway there or something that you pass through. It's only hidden because of the perspective. And so, in that regard, it's, like, kind of cheap. But at least that has been applied consistently, which reminds me of... either of you guys play all the way through Zelda 2?
Yep.
There is, like, at one single point in that game, a real cheap-ass, like, hidden key that you need that you have to just, like, push your way through a seemingly solid wall. And that game did nothing to teach. It's only used, I think, one time total and never again. There's nothing as hinted. It's like, oh, man, that's cheating.
I mean, yeah, I know it's always going to be on the vertical wall, but at the same time, I don't know where on that wall, and the encounter rate's so high that I'm not going to go trying to push against the wall to find it. That's why I use the map to show me this is the next point where you cross through the wall, so I just go, hit it, grab it, go, because again, I refuse to turn off. So far, I refuse to turn off the encounters.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just, I think the quality of life stuff, some of the stuff at least is just time saving. Like, I don't want to spend my time.
Doing
I
that.
I know where I need to go. I'm not gaining anything by battling these mobs. I'm not trying to fill out a bestiary. I don't need to level up. I'm crushing everything.
You don't level up. You like barely level up. That's what I feel like. You get to, you're in the new dungeon, and it's like, like one or two of my skills maybe advance some,
but
and then everything is plateaued for the rest of the thing until maybe the boss.
Well, that's kind of my point, though, is that I don't need to. Like, I'm at a point where I'm doing
like,
fine.
Normally, there's be some residual arguments like, well, at least if I grind through all these guys, my dudes will be better. But that's not even true. And right. That's kind of all the more reason to just switch it off.
Yeah. Well, I liked the tower. I thought it was at least interesting how tall it was. And you go through a bunch of levels, and that would have been just a fucking pain in the ass if you were playing on the NES and didn't have any of this quality of life that we have now, where you can turn stuff off and turn it back on or whatever. But then like the gate mini bosses, where it's like the Thunder Gigas and the Ice Gigas and the Fire Gigas or whatever. So
that was cool. Yeah.
Say it again.
Those guys were cool. I liked that. I thought the little animation of them showing up was cool. I thought that, at least where my guys were, it was a reasonably challenging battle that I had to think about for, a minute or two before I got it. But I was able to kill all three of them without going to, bunch of Phoenix Downs and High Potion. I didn't have to do any of that stuff. You were able to beat them, but they weren't just like pushovers. So I thought it was a good balance.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I continue to play this game thinking about it in my mind's eye, like it's Final Fantasy VII Remake, where like every single encounter, I'm like, this would be so cool in like a 3D action game. Like if they remade this game in the same way they remade 7, there's so much to dig into here. But there's, they've done their best presenting it in the 2D, presentation. But I don't know. I'm still really liking it. And hey, the Wyvern came back. Just fucking take a look at that mirror, and it comes back and flies toward you. It's cool.
I was a little bit grumpy about that because I had finished the tower, and it was like, I remember you said something last week about how there's something cool if you go and check out the mirror. So I'm like, I'm going to go check out the mirror before I go talk to the queen lady again. And then all of a sudden, all this stuff happens. Like, oh shit! I think that this is I probably jumped the gun a little bit on this, and it happened sooner than I meant to, and I missed out on because that like triggers some plot thing, and then you can't get the blood sword anymore.
No, you missed the blood sword.
Oh, I missed the blood sword.
And I was going to ask you guys about the blood sword.
Yeah, I thought about it and I read it and I was like, and then I did a quick check and saw how it compared to like other swords that you get. And it was like, yeah, I'm good, but it does sound cool.
Did you get it, Travis?
Yeah, I have it.
Have you used it yet?
No, because the stats on it were so much garbage that I was like, and I don't really take damage, so.
Right. Oh, okay, because the idea of it is you gain health every time you attack with it.
Right.
So if you don't need health, then it's pointless.
Yeah. But it makes you like the zombie characters, right? You do damage, and it's the drain mechanic essentially.
Exactly, that's right.
Supercharged in the sword, and blood sword sounds pretty sick if we're being honest.
But because I'm doing so much damage, I'm like, I can take a hit. I can drop this. It was like I had a sword that was like 120, and it dropped down to like 85 with the blood sword. But then I was like, what does this do? There's a reason why the guide we're playing with says don't miss the blood sword, and I'm like, okay, then it's got to do something. So I tried it out and it's like, oh, it's fucking leeches. That's cool.
I thought that was neat. I missed that entire thing. Was there anything notable in the other 8 chests that were in there?
There was just a bunch of armor. It was like a gold cuirass and a couple other pieces of armor. Nothing too.
Is that where the power band was?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, or like the twist band. Was that somewhere else?
I can't remember. But the power band is a really good one for your casters because it doesn't have a lot of magic interference, but it still has quite a bit of defense.
What the fuck does the magic interference do anyways?
Lowers your magic efficiency, so your spells do heal less or do less damage.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I haven't really noticed too much.
Because I think it's broken. I was reading about this somewhere because I was like, man, I've been really ignoring that and just making sure my dudes have stacked defense. Yeah. This magic interference thing sounds bad. Let me read about it. And they were like, yeah, it's there, but you can basically ignore it. And the penalty is so like nerfed that it kind of doesn't matter.
Oh. Well, shit, maybe I should put my characters in tankier gear then. Not that it matters.
That's what I was wondering. It's high, it's low. I'm like, I haven't noticed any difference.
Yeah. Well, and since you have paid such careful attention to it, Travis, it might be interesting if you just like give up on it and see if you notice any difference.
Exactly.
I mean, I have no reason. I could try it. I have no reason to do it, to go for more defense, because with the 16 by 99% evasion, I almost never take. The only thing I consistently take damage from is from magic, and that's not that big of a deal. Like, I noticed, because do you guys use blink at all on your characters?
No.
For something that I don't think I'm going to kill in like 2 rounds or whatever, yeah, I throw down blink and berserk. Those are my.
Right. So when you cast blink, your little characters do the 2 image, double image things. Mm-hmm. My characters don't, because blink serves no purpose for my characters because my evasion is already a max.
Yeah.
So because of that, I was just like, like I put heavier armor on them, and then I took it off because I was sitting going, why? It doesn't impact my play, but I'll see if it.
Interesting that you say that magic is what gets through. Because I don't evade everything, but I guess is evasion you can't evade. You can evade spells. That's a thing.
It's a different stat. It's the magic defense that does that.
Does that one? Okay. But that's what I mean is that magic defense would seem to suggest when you get hit, how much damage does it do? I don't know that there's something that's like the analog to evasion.
I don't think you can evade spells as far as I know.
I don't know. My spells miss all the time.
Well, our spells missing is one thing. It just means our spells are too low of a level versus the.
That's what I've noticed. Is I'm at the point now where I'm using like 1 or 2 level spells now, trying to like use some of the other stuff, and then never hit.
Yeah.
And never hit.
Yeah,
always miss. It's also like I got some new stuff late in the game, like Flare turned up somewhere, and it was like, oh. Furion only has like white magic spells. Like I should give him some attack magic because he has a decent chunk of MP. And so I'm like working this flare thing, and it's like this is so embarrassing. I'm doing like 15 damage per guy.
And that's where I think the leveling system rears its ugly head again, right? Because like in Final Fantasy 1, the spells came with a predetermined level, so you knew that they were going to have a certain amount of oomph to them right out the door. Whereas this one, everything starts off at level 1, and it's literally the equivalent of level 1, which makes no sense that you're getting some of the most, what should be the most powerful version of a spell later in the game, but it's weaker than the original version that you started off with earlier in the game.
I would argue, though, that it's like been self-balancing to an extent. Like, I committed to that for maybe, I don't even know, less than 30 minutes, 20 minutes. So like, I don't know, 20 battles total kind of thing. And it's already up to level 5 and doing something decent where my best stuff is at 6 and 7. So it's not that hard to bring it up, but you do have to look stupid for a little while. And I agree. That's kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Overall, I think this section, I don't know, sticks the landing or fulfills the promise of the rest of the game. There's nothing that's too different, but it has like interesting narrative beats to kind of, I don't know, each section seems a little different. Like even the wyvern coming in and taking you to the cyclone and, having the dungeon there. The dungeons try to make it themselves look a little different, even though in the end you can they all kind of feel like they're built sort of the same. It just feels like there's a lot of thought put into this game for what they were able to work with on the NES.
Yeah.
And I still am struck that I'm having such a great time playing this old-timey game that didn't even come to the States originally.
I think the interstitial stuff between dungeons in this chunk in particular that we played, I thought was especially strong.
Yeah.
Because you had Mysidia, which like that was cool, like a town full of mages, and you can all the spells that you want can get, like that was neat. You had the stuff with the masks there and the crystal rod, and that was kind of weird. You had to go to the tropical island, which was just some ho-hum dungeon with a bunch of weirdos in the basement. Yeah. Like that was crazy. I was really disappointed. I thought for sure I went back there after I got the Black Mask, hoping that they would say something different, and they don't, which I thought was kind of lame.
Yeah.
But like, what is those guys' stories? Like, I have so many questions. And then the Leviathan, you do like a Jonah bit for
yeah, isn't that cool? You're swallowed up by this fucking whale or whatever the fuck the Leviathan is.
You got to fight a goddamn tapeworm to get out of there.
Well, and the Leviathan is a summon in later Final Fantasy games.
Right.
We don't see it here. We just see the whirlpool, and then we're sucked into it. But we don't actually see any sort of Leviathan at any point, except for the inside.
Because this is the pixel remaster, so how much less was it in the NES version?
Right, exactly.
Like a single sprite on one ocean tile, and then...
I thought we would see the Leviathan, but no. And then, of course, our main dude, Minwu. We met up with Minwu again, and Minwu is now dead.
Oh. How did he go down? Did he just like strain himself, blast him through that door?
Yeah, he just used all his life energy to blast through the door. I thought.
Yeah, which is funny because I got to the top of that. I was like, wait, we go through and kill all these bosses, go through all this shit, and then this dude's just chilling at the top of the tower. And I was like, okay, what kind of shiesty crap is going to happen now is what I was thinking at the time. I literally have suspect written in capital letters there on finding Minwu at the top.
The only thing I was suspect of was, what's his name? Who's the Dragoon? What's his name?
Oh,
Rick?
Rickard.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, Minwu's going to come back and I'm going to lose all Rickard's stuff. And that didn't happen because Minwu just bit it. But again, like, it's a callback to a character who was in your party earlier in the game and was an important part of the story. And like, it's a little hokey that he just sort of keels over and blinks out like everybody else. But it kind of means something, right? Like it weaves this thing together and I have to retract my earlier whining about the Dragoons being a nothing burger. Like, this guy shows up, and he's really sad that his whole race has been wiped out.
Exactly.
And, like, that's a reason why he would join you and fight. And I thought that worked, too.
Yeah, I put it in our Discord when I ran into that guy. I was like, oh, there is a fucking Dragoon here. This is great. This whole scene here, though, you know what this means. We said that, at least I think what we're doing is we're playing Final Fantasy 3 next if we're going to continue on, and whoever the we is the we who wants to do it. I don't think that's next. I think Final Fantasy 2 Soul of Rebirth is next.
What's that?
So this is the
you told me about this.
I talked about it a couple times ago, but it's basically like a 5-hour game that was opened up after you beat Final Fantasy 2. It's not on. It was on the GBA version. So when they re-released or put it on the GBA or whatever, once you beat it, this opened up and you play as Minwu, you play as Gordon, you play as like 2 other characters from this game, as them in the afterlife, and they're working through the afterlife. And when they get to the end is at the same time when your characters, when, the next section we play, get to the end and defeat whoever the fucking boss is. So just putting it out there, that's something we could play if we can get a hold of it, which I think we could.
I'm like trying to figure out how I would go about playing it.
I'm worried that we killed the Emperor, didn't we? Wasn't that how this ended?
Yeah, Emperor's dead.
Yeah.
But there's 2 more sections of game left, so I have this nagging sense that and the title of one of them was Pandemonia. So
we have to kill God. Right,
we have to go like to hell, right? So is this like an excuse for them to do like a boss rush and they're going to fight all the guys all over again?
Oh God, I hope not. Not a big fan of boss rushes.
Yeah,
included in all subsequent versions of the game except for the Pixel remaster.
Isn't that awesome?
Thanks,
great.
A-holes.
Yeah, why not? Come on. I like it because it has some of the characters that we're playing with here, and that would be cool to experience. Soul of Rebirth becomes available after defeating the Emperor and completing the game, which confuses me because I thought we just beat the Emperor, like Tom was saying.
Spoilers. He must come back. Like somehow Palpatine returned.
Wait,
like
no, you didn't go back and talk to them in the town.
No, I stopped. Like a good boy.
No, so
no, you go back and talk to
12 goes back and says talk to Hilda and ask about Mysidia.
Yeah, I did that. It didn't say, hey, by the way, the Emperor's still alive, did it?
I didn't.
No, they did the little celebration, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and everybody danced. Yeah.
And then the celebration got interrupted.
Oh, because some dude rolled in and died. Yeah.
Right, and he literally says, do you guys not remember? They literally say the Black Knight Leon has taken control of the Empire.
Oh yeah, that's right.
No,
okay,
I meant
so
the literal emperor that we would have to fight.
now he's Leon's the emperor.
No. But you're talking about the next section, like going, yeah, we killed the first emperor, but now we have to go deal with the Black Knight Leon who has taken over.
Yeah, you're right.
So I was like, why are you guys acting like you don't know what the next part is about?
I was thinking emperor as in this emperor, but yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
We did kill this emperor, but Leon has now taken. I mean, he's not calling himself the emperor. He's just assuming.
When did we find out that Leon? I guess we've known that Leon is her brother the whole time.
We have, because she keeps saying, "I know that voice." No time to talk about it right now. Like, but it's my brother.
Yeah.
I mean, literally at the very beginning, they said that Maria's brother Leon was missing.
Yeah,
no, I remember all of that, but the connection that Leon is the Dark Knight, I know that it was telegraphed when she says, "I know that voice," but they never debriefed about that. Is I guess what I'm saying.
No, they never formally acknowledged it.
Yeah, he's the guy. You're gonna have to kill him. You got some feelings about that, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Soul of Rebirth is a bonus quest and campaign introduced in Dawn of Souls version of Final Fantasy II and included in all subsequent versions of the game except for the Pixel Remaster. What the fuck?
So here's my problem, though, right?
Mm-hmm. You don't like Steel Pirate.
No. Soul of Rebirth becomes available after defeating the Emperor and completing the game.
Right.
That makes me... Well, no. What I'm getting at is if we got this somewhere else, would we have to play through the entire game again before we would unlock that, since we're playing it on the Pixel Remaster version?
Fuck no. Then we're going to skip it then.
Absolutely would have to. That's how this works.
That's exactly what I'm reading.
Absolutely not.
So that's my point. Is like, I don't think 80 of us are going to be playing this because...
Oh, shit, dude. How do we play this then?
Yeah, I'm sure that you can get... Like if you just download the ROM, there must be a corresponding.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm just gonna go find. I'm gonna go see that right now. That must be because you don't want to play the goddamn game again.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Man, these guys. I recorded a video of them dancing at that celebration.
Oh yeah,
They dance for a long time.
They do.
And it was fine, but I was like starting to like hit the buttons because I'm like, is it waiting for me to like prompt something to happen?
This is kind of the beginning of the cutscene, the unskippable version, which I'm kind of like, dude, can we speed this shit up, please? No. Something, anything. But that's kind of what it feels like right now. I think this is the birth of the unskippable cutscene, essentially.
Oh, no. No. Okay, so this person's talking about on the Steam forums. Solution for those worried about no Soul of Rebirth? So I've been playing the PSP version of Final Fantasy II again with the goal of jumping right to the bonus content. So I've been handing over all of my best gear and spells to Joseph, Minwoo, and Ricard. So they'll I guess Ricard dies, spoiler. So they'll have them in the Soul of Rebirth dungeons. So yeah, I think maybe you're right that we'd have to play through the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like, nope. Yeah. Okay. Nope.
It's like a second quest kind of.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to watch it on YouTube. So never mind.
There you go.
So Final Fantasy III is the next game on the agenda.
Apparently it is. God damn. Okay. That's interesting.
I wonder why they didn't put it on the Pixel Remaster, man. That makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Probably because it wasn't in the original. I don't know. But they carried over so many things from the subsequent ones, like all the tweaks to the mechanics and how, things level. And although it is weird how they seem to constantly be rebalancing this. Like, do you guys have, is it Asuna? Is that the name of the spell?
Yeah, Asuna.
Yeah. What's your Asuna at?
4?
So 6 or 7.
Okay, mine's at 5, and you can't cure. In all the other versions of this game, level 5 is what lets you cure the stone status effect, and in Pixel Remaster it's 6. And so it's like, damn, okay. So they are still started tinkering with it, but I guess they liked the tinkering of the other games, but not enough to bring the bonus content along. It's an interesting decision.
Yeah, weird.
They spent all their money on the dance cutscene.
As I said, I think it sounds like I was bitching a lot about this game, and I do have a lot of nitpicks about it, but overall, I'm still enjoying it, and anybody who's a fan of Final Fantasy, I would still say should play this game. But it just feels like I've been nitpicking at it, and I am, but...
So I've got, speaking of nitpicks, help me suspend my disbelief. There's a castle inside the Cyclone that has 17 stories or whatever the hell. I'm looking at my screen caps that I took. We're like fighting the Emperor, and there's like a bunch of stone columns and the floor, and we're supposedly inside of a tornado right now.
You're from the Midwest, don't you? Don't your tornadoes have that kind of shit? What do we know about them? You tell us.
Oh, it's not a castle.
Well, it is a really big ass tornado.
It's huge. That's true, and it gets bigger and bigger.
They ate all of those other little towns and turned them into this structure on the inside. Is that what happened? Feel bad. Like those towns that got roughed up by the dreadnought are now just gone.
They're totally toast. It's like Altair, like the first town we were in that we keep going back to, is just gone. According to the characters, I haven't gone back and looked at it.
Yeah, so I didn't go back and check.
I did. It's gone. The world map little stuff. It looks like rubble, and you can't walk in anymore.
Oh wow! Okay,
it's gone. Which I kind of like. Actually, that's also pretty Final Fantasy-esque from what I know of the later ones, where you get to like a 50, 2/3 of the way through the game kind of deal, and then there's something that kind of alters the landscape of the world a little bit. And I thought that was kind of a nice touch. It's not like you miss anything from those towns. You can buy all the stuff. I also think that was part of the function of whatchamacallit, Mysidia. Now all of the spells that you could only buy from those earlier towns, you can get all of them there. So you're not actually cut off from anything, but
right.
You probably weren't going back to those places anymore anyhow.
Something that I'm reading ahead in this thing, and I always see it where it's like, oh, take off all and so's equipment before you do this. Mm-hmm. Have you actually been doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. And then do I use their shit? No.
For a while I was making, I didn't do it with Rickard, but before that, Joseph, Minwoo, and what's her name? Layla. They were all, I always gave them knives. And so that way I always had the best knives. I'd take them off somebody, and then when the next rando showed up, I'd give them the best knives. And so I didn't feel bad investing in equipment for them because I knew I was going to give it to whoever came next.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a minor thing because I know we have too much money at this point in the game, but that's what I hadn't been doing.
Well, you can use it to spend it on elixirs because those cost 50,000 gil. Jesus.
They are. I bought my first one. I think I bought 4 because I was like, okay, what if I get to the tail end of something and things have gone really, really wrong, and I really reached out and I'm beyond my skills or whatever, I could get everybody else to perfect in the party and then have kind of a fresh start to try and gut it out.
I haven't bought a single one because I haven't had that fear at all.
Yeah. Well, but now we can play this game, and let's check in on hit points and see how much further you guys are ahead.
I'm like at 5,000.
You want to play this game? Let me pop this thing open.
I don't want to play this game, but I need the listeners to have some context for why some of us are maybe buying a couple of backup elixirs. And
okay. Furion, 4,542.
Okay. Larry?
I don't have my Switch with me, but I know that my Furion is about 5,000, so I'm actually higher than Travis. That's weird.
2,300.
No, wow.
Yeah. And the game's not hard.
Okay, Maria, 3,440.
Mine's 2,500.
That's interesting. I'm in between you. My Maria has 2,860.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Guy, 6,188.
Wow.
I have half that. I have 2960.
I don't know why Guy just decides to go ballistic, but he does.
What about now here's interesting. What about your Ricard?
2,293.
Oh, wow. Mine's like 1,000. My Ricard? We just got him. Mine, he's like 1,200 or something like that for me.
1,200 on him too.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You know what though, Larry? You and I are turning the
Yeah, you guys have been turning shit off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I turned everything off.
We're missing out.
No, I mean encounters. Is what I'm getting at.
Oh yeah. You're right.
He's grinding without grinding. This game has auto grind.
Yeah, and the funny thing is Furion is probably the character on my team that gets attacked the least for some reason. I don't know why.
What does that mean that his hit points are so high?
That's interesting.
I'm genuinely super curious. And actually, Travis, what's your playtime at?
Wait, is that playtime or
Just your game clock?
14 hours, 57 minutes.
Wow.
I'm playing for longer. I'm at 16 something. Now, granted, 40 minutes of that is us sitting here and talking, so it's probably 15 something. But
I'm at 9 hours.
Wow.
How?
Because you're not fighting half the dudes. No offense.
I also
it eats up a lot of time because it happens so often.
Yeah,
right.
Jesus Christ. There's that, and then there was also like the hour or so I spent with just the shields defending.
Paying for your 16x evasion.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. And this is what's weird to me is that like I can't for the life of me figure out why my Furion has so much less than Maria and Guy, who are pretty comparable at about. But he's 500 HP behind, and it's not like he's dead for long periods of time or anything like that. He's probably the best guy I've got. But I wonder if this is it. His dodge is way better than everybody else's. So I wonder if he gets hit less and there's some accrual there that is beefing those other guys' HP because they're losing it all the time.
I don't know. I mean, it's same for me if you're on being... Well, I mean, he's not lower than Maria, but then the other thing is I also had Maria in the back row for the longest time.
Yeah, I still do.
But I have all of my characters in the front row now because with the 16 by 99 evasion, I'm not too worried about it.
Send you a picture.
Oh, somebody just carved out the... Oh, you've already got it?
I did it.
Yeah, let me know how that rolls.
Yeah, because if it launches you right into it, then I will send that over to you guys. But this is starting off with the Final Fantasy 1.
You have to play 1 and 2 to get to...
That's what I'm worried about here. Oh, no, okay, select a game to play. Final Fantasy? Oh, fuck me. Final Fantasy 2? Okay, god damn it.
Yeah,
you have the Dawn of Souls edition that has that game in there, but you have to still beat Final Fantasy 2 before you can do it.
That's the thing. You should be able to source a save file from somewhere of someone who is beat.
Ooh, hey, that's a good idea.
Right, like that's out there, I'm sure.
Okay, let me try that. Yeah, because this is, here we go. This is putting me right at the beginning of Final Fantasy 2. Yep. Okay, fuck this. That's not happening. No. Okay, sad baby now. There we go.
So close, and yet
so close. So close.
Yeah.
What stuff do you have, Travis? What do you like? What do you have equipped? I found something called the Defender, which is a pretty good sword.
What do I have equipped? Let's see. Equipment. Furion has a Defender in his right hand, the Ice Brand in his offhand.
And then I've got like diamond stuff and a twist headband, which is pretty cool.
Furion's got a gold hairpin, black garb, power armlet. And then Maria's got a wizard staff in her right hand and the power staff in her left hand. White robe, gold hairpin. And then the Ripper in his right hand, an Ice Lance in his left hand, and then the gold hairpin and the black robe.
I've got Guy with the white robe, thief's gloves, giant's helm, and the poison axe, which is pretty sick. Are you still doing bows, Larry?
Yeah, I've not changed them from their original weapons, so each one is stuck with them.
Yeah, the ice bow I found kind of recently, and that was a big boost. That brought Maria up to her attack matching everybody else's.
Yeah, I've been up until recently. Furion's been rocking swords, sometimes spears, depending on what has the higher attack power. Maria's been rocking staves the whole time. And Guy had been rocking knives the whole time, but the problem this is the problem that I found with the game, and again, it sounds like I'm nitpicking. You don't get a consistent flow of upgraded knives or staves.
Like a crummy knife for a long time.
Yeah,
bows are the same thing, where it's like, man, I had to look it up because I'm like, did I miss one or something like? It's like, no, it's just in another 3 sections that you get something better.
Whereas you consistently get swords, axes, and less consistently the spears, but still it feels like the swords and axes are like something they throw at you all the damn time.
And again, I play with axes, and axes was the same thing, where there was and maybe it's just like some middle part of the game, but I definitely felt like my bow and axe were way under where swords were. I think swords are just better, which is consistent too with what we saw for the fighter in Final Fantasy 1. He got all the best stuff.
Yeah, it's another one of those things where I think maybe it was one of the things that they learned in later games. I don't remember all that clearly anymore, but it just feels like they put a lot of effort into the knight or fighter concept, and then the other ones are kind of like, oh yeah, we need to add these as well.
Yeah. And they get there though. Like I remember that specifically from Final Fantasy VII, that you were constantly lousy with everybody's weapons, even if they weren't in your party, kind of thing. And it really did feel like you could pick any character, any 3 characters, and then you were never at a disadvantage because of some innate choice there. But
so that's why Guy switched from dual wielding knives to having a knife and a spear, because the Ripper's a really powerful knife on par with some of the best swords, and the Ice Lance is pretty damn close too. So the other version of the knife that I had it just wasn't keeping up. But the Ripper's kind of cool because it does, I don't know what it does as a secondary damage, but it does a primary damage, and then it does like another 25% damage on something in a different.
I saw that and thought, oh man, that's cool. But my knife
attacks multiple times. Okay, so I guess the second one is just it ripping it.
That's cool. That's a really good thing. Yeah, I might just give those to what's his face, Rickard. I have 2 Rippers. That's sick.
Dual wielding.
Yeah.
Badass.
All right. Cool.
Ooh, all right. Well, Final Fantasy 2, we are closing in on the end game. We've got one chunk left with 2 sections that knock on wood, I guess, but don't seem too massive. It's Palamecia Castle and then the Jade Passage in Pandemonium, where we go and find Leon, I'm sure.
17 floors each, 85 total trap rooms.
Is that what it is? Are you serious?
No,
he's just throwing out shit.
Jesus Christ.
There's freaking 17 chests in there, though, and that sounds like a lot.
Well, the guy's like, don't miss a chest. I'm like, some of these chests have shit I don't need.
None of them. I can't think of, like, it's maybe 1 in 5 has something useful.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, that brought up another little pet peeve. Some of these high-end dungeons having the first freaking stave that you got in the very beginning. Like, what the hell why am I this late in the game getting that as a freaking treasure chest drop?
Yeah.
Like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe do something cool if you, like, throw it like an item. That was my only guess.
Yeah, right.
Or if you could combine them into something else. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I'll stop. Again, it sounds like I'm bitching about a game and I don't like it, but I actually do enjoy the game.
We can critique things that we love. More Americans should understand that.
I know, but it just sounds like all I'm doing is bitching about the game. Which
No, if any listener thinks that is true, just go back and listen to our Final Fantasy 12 arc.
Okay, yes, 100%, because that was 24/7 bitching with some praise for the story.
Yep, that was exactly how that experience went.
There was nothing else positive about that game. I'm sorry, Anthony. I know you love that game, but fuck that game.
Oh my god. Well, we're enjoying this one, and I'm sure we'll enjoy 3 next because we're not going to be able to play Dawn of Souls. Oh well. I'll watch the YouTube video.
Watch a Let's Play, yeah.
Exactly. All right, my friends, if you like our podcast, please rate it on your podcast service of choice, and we will be back next week to talk more Final Fantasy II, the End Game, which will be pretty cool. See you next week.